So, after months of bruising headlines, it looks like Flock is introducing new safety controls, seemingly in the hopes of quieting its chorus of critics. The company, which operates a nationwide network of AI-powered automated cameras designed to read license plates, has been essentially blasted over privacy concerns, as well as a worry that the system could be abused. So today, Flock CEO Garrett Langley announced that the company would reduce how long it retains user data to 7 days as opposed to the original 30 days. The ACLU was warned could violate civil liberties. A couple of notable exceptions to the new rule. There's local law enforcement can adjust how long they retain the data based on their own policies. And there's also a new evidence mode that's going to allow police to preserve data longer if it's tied to a specific case number. The company's also requiring all law enforcement customers use its audit assistance tool by the end of the year. So Flock will require a case number for each search, and if there's unusual searches, that user will get locked out until the search is reviewed. The system can be bypassed in case of emergency, though the company says those searches would be checked. Now, Flock hopes that these accountability changes will put an end to the cases of police abusing their system, maybe others. And just this week, I'll tell you, a cop in Haines City, Florida, was arrested for allegedly using the company's cameras to track the location of his estranged wife on 717 occasions. So the question, of course, is, will these changes be enough to quiet the controversy, the backlash, which has reached the point where users online are trading tips on how to destroy the cameras? Joining me now for a closer look is Jake Williams, an AI and cybersecurity expert with IANS Research. Thank you so much for taking the time. So let's talk about this. If you run a search, or the officers, they run a search, they have to enter a case number first. But is this enough of a barrier for abuse? Couldn't someone just use another case number, maybe fake one to run a search?
Sure, absolutely. And these justifications for searches being abused have a long history. Practically every intelligence service requires that you make some search number or search justification, and very often people just put in search. That never gets audited, let's be real.
So, yeah, that's a good point. Flock also says that its automated audit tool is going to flag these abnormal search behavior using AI. In theory, seems good, maybe a way to reduce abuse, but how reliable is that technology versus a professional one in some way? Do you think it's something that we can rely on?
Well, part of the problem is we don't know. Until Flock opens that up for independent review, we have no idea how effective their tools are. What we can say is that up to this point, there have been numerous documented abuses, just like the one that you mentioned in the opening of the segment. And so far, Flock has not been independently discovering those so much as individuals.
Which is concerning to say the least. And look, Flock says that the case code requirement, that can be bypassed in cases of emergency. But in cybersecurity, how often do those kinds of backdoors end up just becoming loopholes or even standard operating procedure?
Well, it's not even so much a question of if the back door becomes a standard operating procedure. Somebody would have to actually audit that use of the back door for it to be an effective control at all. Much more importantly, though, on the cybersecurity side is what happens when a nation state, China, Russia, whoever, hacks one of these systems. There again, now we're talking.
Are they able to do it? Can they do that easily?
I'm not going to necessarily say easily, but certainly there have been security issues with Flock's network in the past.
Yeah, that is concerning. Let's talk about the retention. So Flock says that it will only retain data for 7 days, but I got to tell you, I think of the Nancy Guthrie case, right, where the doorbell cam footage wasn't supposed to be recording, but it seemed like investigators were able to get the footage anyway. Would the same sort of thing be possible with the Flock system, in theory?
Absolutely. Not only that, as you mentioned in your segment, each department gets to set their own retention. So Flock's only updating the default retention to 7 days.
Yeah, that's a good point. And look, even with the shorter data retention period, Flock still has the license plate data of millions of Americans, right? So if going back to your theory, if a hacker were to manage to break into this system, what kind of threat would that pose to not only the company, but us, Americans?
Sure. Let's talk national security. We've got tons of, we call them, I guess, black sites is probably the right term for it here, where folks leave, let's say, the CIA parking lot and go to a site that is not ostensibly owned by the CIA. If a threat actor, nation-state threat actor, gets access to the Flock network, they could track those vehicles around and undo those covert locations. Undercover policing, too.
But so right now, by the way, Flock reads license plates. But as we're talking about this and the advent of technology, AI, as AI progresses, could those same cameras be used for like facial recognition?
Oh, absolutely. Not only facial recognition for people on the street, but also who's in the car.
Do you think that this is going to, I don't know, silence the criticism from civil rights groups? Is this going to help in any way in totality? Because it's a big adjustment from Flock.
I don't think it's going to silence a lot of critics here. Flock knows what the criticisms are. They could be open. They could submit for open review from the Electronic Frontier Foundation, EFF, or the ACLU. They're not doing that. Read into that what you will.
Final question. Is that a stormtrooper behind you, or is that some sort of robot that's about to walk? I've been wondering it the entire interview. It looks like a stormtrooper.
It is absolutely a stormtrooper.
That's fantastic. Is that life size?
Yes, sir.
Oh my gosh, you are a legend among men. Let me just tell you, that is awesome. I kind of want one of those. That's awesome. That's next level. You should have that in the shot, honestly, next time. But listen, I really enjoyed talking to you. Very interesting things happening. We'd love to have you back, Jake Williams.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Appreciate it, sir.
Good.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.